Hello all, welcome back. And in this video, we are going to learn another important topic that is called async and await. Okay, what is the need of async and await, and how it is going to solve or how it is going to help developers to write much more cleaner code whenever we are dealing with a promise chain. Okay, in the last video, okay, we have learned how what is a promise chain. Suppose if you have a multiple tasks, multiple asynchronous tasks, if they are dependent on each other. So suppose task 2 is depend on task 1 result and task 3 execution is depends on task 2 results. So we need to execute those things in a sequence, right? So this task 2 should wait until we got the result for task 1, and task 3 should wait until we got the result for task 2. So for that, what we have done, we because this the task 1 is get users and get repository, get commits in a sequence, and we have written a promise chain. So when you call the get user, it will return a promise, and we are calling then method because once the promise is resolved or rejected, okay, it will going to take the action. Okay, if it is rejected, it will go to the catch block. If it is resolved, it will go into then block. And again, once we got the result for the task one, and we are going to invoke the task two. Like that, we have already learned. I hope you have done a practice. If you didn't, please go back and watch, and please do practice. Then only you can understand. Okay, otherwise it's very difficult. So if you see, of course, before explaining what is async and await, so this is the same thing. So whatever you are doing here with this promise chains, so here we can achieve the same thing with the help of async and await. Like syntax wise, these are different, but execution wise, both are same. But if you see, it is much more cleaner and developers get more command on this code. So if you see here, you are calling the get user, and you are calling the then method. Here we are not calling any then method. Here we are just writing like a normal sequential code. So we are calling the get user. Once you got the user details, then only it will go and execute the next line, because we are using await. Okay, everything we are going to learn with examples, but just I'm telling how easy if we learn async and await to handle promise chains. So if you see the cleaner code, right? Cleaner code and lots of control to the programmer as well. Okay. So first of all, okay, without understanding what is async and what is await and how those are working, okay, it's not that much easy to understand. So just let's jump into the fundamentals. So here, yes, we are going to create a simple promise, um, asynchronous method, and we can deal with the promise dot then first. Then we can take an example how it is going to be simplified syntax with the help of async and await. So here same example, like I'm just taking the function get users. If you already know how to write this function, you can move forward for 5 to 6 minutes so that you can save your time. But maybe someone is watching this video directly without learning the fundamentals. Hopefully it is going to be somewhat helpful. Okay, it's not that much easy to understand, but it will be helpful, and you can revise what we have learned. So get users here, this get user is going to return a new promise. Okay, so what we can do, a return a new promise. So what is the syntax of the promise? Okay, this promise is going to expect a callback function, and it has two things. One is resolve argument and reject. Okay, you can utilize at your choice. So here Normally, what we'll do, we'll send a request to the server, we'll get the data based on that, whether it is resolve or reject, we can take that action. But here, for simplicity, we can go with a timeout. Okay, set timeout. I hope you are all. And set timeout is going to expect again a callback function, and I'm just giving 10,000 milliseconds delay, or you can call it as 10 seconds. So get user is going to expect a user ID. You need to pass the user ID. Based on that, it will send a request to the server. Okay, so request to the server, sends request to server, and it will get the result. So here, what it will do? So it is going to. Wait, I'm just creating a user object. Simply, I don't want to waste the time. So the first name colon like Vijay, or we can take example of Virat Kohli because yesterday he scored I think 186 in the fourth test against Australia. I hope he completed 75th century in all the formats, if I'm not wrong. So okay, last name and even okay user ID. Yeah, don't think that Raghu. Please explain what is async and await. Why you are wasting time? No, please learn in a sequence so that you will understand easily. So, and you can pass any information like age. So, for example, suppose 33 or something. Okay, this is the user object. What we are going to do? So, just send a request to the server, and I'm directly making the success call. Just resolve, and I'm just returning the user. Okay, or you can put the condition here. Let me write that condition as well. If we have the data in the user, okay, that means if data is existent, that means it's not undefined or something, then resolve and return that particular user details. Okay, else suppose no, if something went wrong, so just reject and send that error message like something went wrong. Okay, I think this is you already, if you've done a practice, I think you are very good about these things. So but here, well, this is a asynchronous method, and whenever you call it, it is going to return a promise. And because promise means we don't know at what time it is going to resolve, so once it is resolved, it will trigger the then method. Otherwise it will wait for the situation, and if something not fulfilled at the time also, it will invoke the reject method, right? So catch, it will be holding the catch method. So let's, okay, this is a simple one. I'm just minimizing. So now, because so far we have done the promise creation. Okay, now we are going to consume the promise. Okay, even async and await, the promise creation is everything, the flow is same. We are not going to change anything. The only thing is when you're using the promises, whenever you're consuming the promise, at the time syntax is going to be much more simplified, and it's going to be very useful. So fine. Okay, here how to call that? So it's just simple, get users, and you can pass one at one, whatever it is, because we didn't check whether the number is valid or not something. So what it will return? What it will return? Huh? What will it return? Promise, right? Promise. It will return a promise. So this promise object have like then method and catch method, and it will check the all the states, right? So just I hope we have covered already. So instead of wasting time, so here, otherwise if you didn't understand, just let me know. I will explain one more time. So promise dot then. So you should invoke the then method, right? And here again you can go with a callback function, return and console dot log, okay, response. Because whenever you invoke the get user, it is not going to return the user details. It is return a promise. Once the promise fulfilled, then this method called then is going to invoke, and it is going to return the results. Okay, you had two steps are there. One is getting the calling the get user, it will return the promise, and once the promise fulfilled, then only it will execute this callback function. Here you can find the results. So here two steps are there. So let me, okay, fine. So let's see the output like async.html, right? So let me open that file. Okay, don't worry. The here that is async.html. Okay, start and of course in between we have called the set timeout. Okay, we got the result. We got the result. Fantastic, fantastic. So even if you want to see what is there in the promise, yes, you can. You can log the details. Console.log. Please do practice. Don't hurry because these are very important topics. And within few minutes, we are going to see async and await. So if you see, so it is written the promise because whenever you invoke the get user and once it is yeah once it is completed, once it is resolved, it got the result. So if you just expand this promise, so it is just holding, it is a promise, the prototype is promise and state is fulfilled. If it is rejected, that is a different thing. Promise result is an object. Okay, what is the result? We got the object. That mean, and this promise have a method called then finally constructor catch and all the things. So with the help of then method only we can see the results. So I hope you guys understood up to this point. Now what is the complexity here? Why we need to learn async and await? So if you have only one asynchronous method, no problem, no problem for us. But if we have a multiple things and one task is going to depend on another task, at the time we need to use this promise chain. But even if you like the promise chain, yes, you can go ahead and write the syntax in the promise chain. But sometimes if it is growing like 5 to 10 asynchronous methods are interdependent on each other, it's going to be difficult to read the syntax, difficult to write the code. Okay, so the async await is going to solve that problem. So let's see, because once you learn async and await, definitely you will use those things only in a programming, because this is a very useful. So here what we are doing now, we are going to write the same thing, achieve the same thing with the help of async and await. So async, yes, so async and await, these are two twins. Okay, so wherever you go, if you want to use await, you need async, and whenever you are doing using async keyword, definitely await will follow. Okay, without there are rare situations without taking help of async, you can use the await, but those are not that much important things. So every time whenever you are using await, definitely you should use the async. Whenever you are using async, definitely async will follow. Okay, what is the importance of async and await here? So if you see here, I'm just writing a function, a simple function get results. Okay, get results. I'm going to write the same thing only. So I'm just moving this logic into this. Okay, Raghu, why you need to take another extra function? Don't worry, because we need to use async and await. That's why I'm just taking another function that is get results, whatever it is. How many promises are there, how much promise chain is there, you can just handle in that. So if you see, I'm just commenting that. So get results. So even if you call the get results, what is what is happening? Okay, it is going to invoke this function, and inside the function we are calling the get users and console.log promise, promise.then, everything. That's perfect. That's perfect. So let me execute one more time. So it will work in a similar fashion. But the only thing is we just moved our logic into another function. That's it. Nothing more than that. Okay, after some time it will execute and we got the result. So no problem. So here this is without using async and await. Without using async and await. So now, so if you want to use await and async, you should use the function. That's why I just rewrite this code with the help of function. So here I'm writing another function. Okay, another function. So this is what we can say, give a name, async await name, or so async all. Okay, I'm just taking async all. Definitely it's not a meaning good name. You can use the good name. So here if you see the syntax wise, first we can learn the syntax changes, then we are going to understand the actual importance of that. So with one promise you can't find the greatness of async and await. If you have a multiple things in the promise chain, then only. So first we can understand how it will work with one promise. So here what we need to do here, constant a promise. Okay, here if you see there are two steps are there. Okay, one is first you should get the promise and then you are going to invoke the then method. So sometimes it is confusing, but here if you use async and await, it's going to be very useful. Here directly it is going to give the results. What I'm saying here, we are going to skip one step. So if you just use await, just await, get users, and just give a 101. Okay, here in this above example, if you want to get the response, you need to follow the two steps. One is first you should call the get user and hold the promise, and then on top of this promise you should invoke then method. But here this await is going to handle these two things internally, and it will give the response. That's it. That is the only simple difference between writing syntax like this without async and await or this. So what this await will do, await will wait until it got the result. So the promise is there. So if you call the get user, you will get the promise, and we are going to write the promise dot then. Okay, but here it's simply it will handle both the things and directly it will return the response. Okay, it will handle the promise and it will return the results. Okay, but await means this, it is not going to execute the next line. So that was right now, if this is 51 line, it is not going to execute, it is not going to execute line number 52 unless this is going to be resolved. Okay, it's strange, right? Don't worry, write the syntax. Okay, and it is showing an error. Await expressions are only allowed within async functions and at the top level of the modules. So if you see, yes, as we discussed, async and await. So if without using async, you can't use await. If you use async, the await will follow. Okay, so what you need to do, you should give a information to the browser that this is the asynchronous call. Okay, this is the asynchronous call, then only await will work. So if you see, if you just remove async, So automatically it is showing an error. Await expressions are only allowed within async function. So what you need to do, you should mention this function is asynchronous function. That's it. Just mention that function is asynchronous function. So here, yes, you can go and check the results. Console.log response. So async all also will work in a similar fashion. Okay, like get results. Okay, inside we are calling the get user and we are getting the promise. After some time we are invoking, once that is resolved it is going to invoke that. But here we don't need to worry about writing the then method. Simply await. Okay, once it is resolved it will return the results, because we need a result, right? We need exact response, we need the user detail. So even if you say exactly, it will return the user information, right? What do you need? User information, that's it. Whether the promise will resolve after 5 seconds or 10 seconds doesn't matter. So once this statement is completed, then only it will come to the next line. Okay, that is there in a asynchronous call. So super. So let me execute the code. Start end. I think both are invoked and you will get the response to both at the same time. So if you see, we got the result, right? Super. So syntax wise, maybe you feel that Raghu still this is simple for you. Just let me know which one is simple for you. Here we have only one asynchronous method, that is get users. Okay. Suppose if you have a multiple thing, then it will matter, right? Then it will matter. So if you see here in this, we have three things. One is get user and get repositories and get commits. So at the time, the syntax is like this. So here you're writing user and you're writing user dot email ID, and if and you will get a lot of confusion because get user then user arrow mark get repos user dot email ID. Somewhere it is going to be confused. Okay, if you've done a practice, maybe you have noticed that. Otherwise, I can't explain because you should experience that. So if you see here, it's clearly you're not going to deal with the then method. So I'm just calling the get user. I need a user detail. That's it. I don't want to think about anything. That's it. So just call the get user and get your results. Once, because await means it is not going to execute this line number 120 until unless you got the information in user. Okay, it's not. So suppose it will take 10 seconds. Okay, so this it is going to wait 10 seconds. Once you got the results, then only it is going to execute line number 120. And again, if it is takes 10 minutes to get the get commits details, yes, it will wait. This one line number 121 will wait until the 10 minutes, and once you got the results, then only it is going to execute this one. So syntax wise only it is different. Okay, but execution wise it's same. So don't think that JavaScript is going to pause everything. It is not going to execute any other things. No. Okay. How things are working asynchronously here, it is also executing the same thing here. So if you want, okay, suppose here, just come back and we have one method, right? We have one method and we have written like this. So let me pull another method to here. So instead of writing again, so hopefully you can understand this one easily. Okay, I'm just copying, I'm just moving this second asynchronous function. Okay, what is the logic inside this second asynchronous function get repositories? Because if you want to get repositories, you need email ID. If you want email ID, first you should call the get users, and once this get user is going to return user details, and you can fetch that user email ID from that user details. That means this task 2 is dependent on task 1, right? So now what you need to do, Okay, once you got the result, then only you can call the another method, right? So here, what we are going to do, we are going to attach then method here. Okay, what we need to do, this is this promise dot chain, and once you got the response, you need to call get repositories. Okay, fine. Once you call that, you can call the get repositories. And even if you see, okay, yes, you can modify this as user, and this is user dot email id, if I'm not wrong. So you should call that, and again it is going to return another promise. So if you see constant promise to, yes, syntax wise, even if you feel the difficult, yes, this is what happening. So you're calling the get user, it is going to return a promise, and this promise has a then method. Okay, and once it is fulfilled, it is going to execute this then method, and it is going to send a user dot email id. If I'm not wrong, the spelling is correct. Email id, so fantastic. This is the syntax. And what you need to do, what you need to do, so here the promise to dot then, once the promise to got fulfilled, and now you will get the repositories details. Repo detail console.log. Okay, repo repos or something. Okay, let me execute that first, and then we can rewrite with async and await so that you will feel happy. So refresh, we're calling only get results. It has a two promise, it is handling two promises. Yeah, sending request to the server, get repositories. Okay, of course first one is also done, but we didn't add that console.log, that's why it's not. So you will should get the results. So first you got the, yeah, because we didn't log the details here, we didn't log the details directly, we are calling the get repositories. Once you got the user details, we are invoking the get repositories, so we are getting the results properly. Okay, we are getting the results. So if you have a confusion, don't worry. In this what you need to do, so before sending the request, just put a console.log message so that you feel that, okay, it is, okay, get user called. Okay, that's fine. Just refresh. So get user called, it is going to get the results, and it will store in the promise. Once that promise is resolved, yes, the promise is resolved, and sending a request to the server for get repositories. Once that second promise resolved, you will get the results. 1 2 3 4 5 6, yes, you got the results. So here the syntax is like this. Syntax is like this. So here, okay, instead of writing this promise 1 and promise 2 like that, what you can do, you can do, okay, already we have written like this now. This is also perfect. Okay. So instead of writing holding the promise and promise to objects directly, because here your once the promise one is resolved, once the promise one is there, and you're calling the then method on top of promise one, and this promise one is going to return the promise two, and you are calling the then method. So here the syntax wise, this is a syntactical sugar only, but it will work as same like above. Okay, but here you are doing console.log, you are doing console.log. Yeah, once you got the results, it is the repo. So if you see, this one this is much more cleaner syntax than this, and async await is far better than this code. That's it. Syntax wise only, logically, execution wise, everything is same. Everything is same. So What I'm doing, I'm just removing this, just comment it and do that. This. If you feel, Raghu, this is easy, go ahead, no problem. You can go with that itself. Just refresh, but very good. Get user is not defined. Fantastic. This is I think get I have taken get users in this file. Get user called. After some time, it is going to invoke this one and that one. We'll get the results perfectly. So it has said, okay, I think I have taken 10,000 milliseconds, so that it is taking 10 seconds to execute, so that you need a lot of patience. And repo is not defined. Fantastic. Because I think we have written mm, something different. Get repositories. I think we have rejected that, if I'm not wrong. No, repos is equal to perfect. This email not. No, 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 no. What's the wrong? Repo is not defined. Repo is not defined. What the hell is this? Repo is not defined. So if you say this is repos and beginner's mistakes, so that we need to do practice. Doom, 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 doom. Now it will work properly. So now we will get the results of get repositories. So if you have a two asynchronous calls, we can handle like this. So if you see the same thing, so this is same. See, this is same, and but here with the help of async and await, it's going to be much more simpler. So once you got the user details, okay, then only it is going to execute a next asynchronous call. So get repos. So if you see, once you got the result, because we are in asynchronous function. So and we are using await. So this line number 84 is going to execute only after this get user is going to resolve. Okay, get repositories and what we need to pass here, just user dot email id. That's it. That's it. You will get the repos console.log repos. Okay, so let me comment above. Otherwise, just make sure we can call the both the things. We can observe both the things at a time. So we call get user by normal promise chain and another get user by async and await. Both will work in a similar fashion. So if you see, we have sent a request from both the methods at the same time, and we will get the results also at the same time. Fantastic. So your choice, which one is good for you? And again, if you have already understand two things, it's not going to be difficult for the third one, right? Third method. Where is our third method? Get commits. Come on, boy. Get commits. Get commits. Please, please do practice. Please, please do practice. Please, please do practice. Otherwise, that is your choice. I can't do anything. Of course, you are watching this video means definitely you are practicing. So, get commits, the third one. What's the logic for the third one? So, and directly I'm copying from here. Otherwise, don't worry. So, get users. Um, the get results. So once you got the results, instead of writing console.log, what you need to do? You are going to call the third asynchronous one, that is get commits. And what this get commit is expecting, it is expecting some repositories detail, right? What we have done, repos.zeros. So It is returning a array, so we are taking the first array item and we are taking the title, and after that it is going to return a promise, and we are going to attach the then method. We are going to invoke again then that method. This is the promise chain. That means this then method is going to return one promise. Okay, first one, this get user is going to return the first promise. This then is for promise one, and this promise one will return another promise, that is promise two. This then we are attaching on promise two like this. Okay, if this promise two also returns, normally we should write constant, okay, promise 3 equal to, and then you can write promise dot then. So instead of writing that the lengthy syntax, this is the shortcut and perfect. So here, what the syntax, like it will return the commits, right? Commits arrow mark, just do console.log commits. So this is the final result what we are expecting. So here also simple, so already you understand. Okay, so I don't worry about this then method or calling then method or handling the promises. I don't have that much patience. So this is simple. This is like how you're writing a synchronous code, but only thing is you're handling with the help of async and await. That's it. Get commits. Okay, once you invoke the get commits, what you need to do, the repos dot zero dot title. Here also same process, and here in the finally you will get the commits. So if you see, this is similar to that. That is similar to this. Okay, just refresh. So now we are going to deal. Okay, in the both the ways we call the get user. After 10,000 milliseconds, once it is resolved, it is called the second promise one. And once this second promise is going to resolve, it is going to invoke the third one. Okay, get commits, and it will return the promise, and once it is resolved you will get the commits information. 1 2 3, yes, we got the results. So this is perfect, same thing. So now your choice, which one is your favorite? Okay, writing syntax like this is the first one. This is the second one, that is promise chain, writing like only then methods. And the third one is async and await. Okay, now you can ask the question, Raghu, if something went wrong, okay, here we have a catch method, right? We have a catch block. But if something went wrong inside this async and async method, how to handle those error things? So that we can learn in our next session. Don't worry, that is also going to be very easy. Okay, so please do practice. This is very important thing. Of course, we covered all the good things in our playlist, and once we done this async and await, and we are going to enter into another super cool important topics. Okay, if you understand, okay, first do practice. Okay, just take similar kind of, or first take similar kind of um, asynchronous methods, then write your own logic. And here we have taken three promises, right? Just go with a four or five, okay, that experience that complex level. So then you will become a better programmer. Okay, that's all for this video. And the next video we are going to understand how to handle errors or rejections in async and await. But don't forget, this async and await should be in a combination. So if you forgot to use async, this is going to be not work. That's all. Bye bye.